Hey guys, what's up? Nightfall here. So everyone wanted the deck profile, so here it is, finally. And yeah, but before we start the actual deck profile, subscribe to the channel for like more content. And yeah, let's get into the deck profile. So like this is my take on Branded for this format. I'm playing somewhat innovative version of the deck because I thought in this format we needed like more consistency over power. So that's why some of the choices here like non-standard like mine. So in this video, like I'm gonna explain why I made those choices and which cards I decided to cut in the final versions, why I cut them, why I think they are not good, and yeah. So let's start with the video. So I'm playing double Owlbear. The reason like it's not a 3 because I was having an issue with multiple normal summons and I can in my version, as you can see, I'll show in combo tutorial, it's easy to get to branded fusion, like in other ways that are like not a looper. So in this case, I decided to replace it with one Spring and Skid. This card is like I don't like this card very much, but it's needed if you play like the branded in High Spirit. It just comes up for like that part. So that's why it's there. Like I'll show in the combo tutorial why playing this card just changes so much. If you so like I think like if you play high spirits, you just have to play spring and skid, and then double quem. So this card is like a one. It can be a one-off, that's for sure. But it just opens up so many lines if you play like two. Normally in my combos, I just use the one quem on turn one, and then it just comes up to like go for the Granguno summon the second one. And yeah, it just comes up for like a very niche situations. That's why I like to play 2-2. It's just nice. The card is like bad going second, but it's like fine just to have two going first. You always side out one going second. And yeah, like the gimmick puppet now, yeah, this everyone knows like it's just an auto win. We play it as much as you can and like get free wins. So yeah, here we go with triple shrouded dragon. So I think like this wasn't like standard before. I think it was kind of popularized to play multiple Shrouded Dragon. This card, in addition to being an upstart goblin, like of course, but the important part where it gets you is you send an Albus from the deck, which is an important piece. And like once you get like Albus in rotation, even if you get hand trapped, you can just still set up like Mirror Jade at the very least, like I'll show in the combos. And you can also send Retribution, which is like just good to have engraved in general. And then yeah, I think like that's why this card is like just a three of. It's just very good to to get your engine in rotation. And then like this is like non-standard for the branded lists. Like I don't think anybody else plays it, but it's triple Saronir. So I came to the conclusion this format. If I play like the high spirits, this like list is built solely on high spirits. Is I need to play more dark dragons that are good engine because when I was testing with only like seven of these in the main deck, I wasn't opening high spirits consistently enough with dragons. But if I play the Saronir, the ratio increases a lot to open Saronir and like high spirits. Uh, and yeah, that's why it's a three of. But also it's like very good against pure Snake Eye, of course, and like voiceless and like the mirror match. Just because against pure Snake Eye, like they normally just go Flame Birch and they target the Palooza in Grave to put it in spell and trap zone as the end board. Like obviously that's not their full end board, but it decreases their end board just becomes significantly worse. So that's why I think like this card is good. Like it doesn't kill their end board, but it just becomes significantly weaker for most players. And yeah, so yeah, here we go with triple forbidden droplet. I don't play super poly in this version. I think if you want to play like the quick play spells, like one of them, you can also play both. It's either Super Poly or Droplet, but I feel like with Droplet, you just have like you cover more matchups than Super Poly, and also it's like you can set it turn one, like it's an interruption as well, and yeah, it just covers like more matchup, but you can also like set it turn one, and it works against more matchups. Like Super Poly is a good card, but this format, I'll explain why Super Poly is like not good this format. And then we move on to like triple Albas. Like I think this is standard. There's no explanation for this. And then yeah, we go with triple Cartesia. So a lot of people play with two or one, but I wanted to like open this card going first and going second. Because I always wanna like before I start breaking the board or like playing, I just wanna always summon this card because it protects me from like imperm surveillors on my other plays, and also like making Granguno against Snake Eye is insane. Like because as you have seen in my videos on DB Grinder maybe, or like in my duels in general, I like to always like go chain Cartesia, make the Granguno and trigger both of his effects, which is like yeah, you just basically win the game because you just get so much out of like one Cartesian and like another monster. And yeah, that's why this is a three off. I think like you can play the two, that's fine, but I just like it as a three off, which it can be considered also a normal summon, but most of the time I just special summon it because I play triple Shrouded Dragon and I play triple Sky Spirit, so most of the time I can just special summon it from hand, like additional to the deployment, of course. And yeah, that's why I think like this is a good three off you can play. But yeah, two is also fine, but for me three it just works. I just want to open this card as much as possible. Like this card just makes the deck like even more insane if you open it. And yeah, I just want as much access to Cartesia as possible. Then we have the one Magnamut. Yeah, obviously, like if you play a Bestios, like this is like the good Bestio, like the yeah, it's just insane. Like if you play these Bestios, it might as well just like play the Magnamut. Like you could play like two Saronir and one Magnamut, but as I said, I wanted as many Dark Dragons as possible. Like obviously, you want to open High Spirits with Saronir because it's better, but like yeah, I think it's also Magnamut is just good to open going second. Like it's most of like it's even if it doesn't work against the deck, like most of the decks put dark and light in the graveyards. Like maybe Stun can put Hug into grave, maybe it works in the mirror match, of course, but like for the decks that don't put that many light and darks in grave, you can just use it to get engine. Like this card can search Shrouded Dragon, it can search Albas, it can search the Saronir. So yeah, might as well just play it. It's a good card in general. And then we play one Tragedy, one Mercurier. I think that's standard for the most lists. There's like no need for like explanation. Uh, some lists that play polymerization, like here, play it as a three off or a two off. But in this version, I cannot bridge it with high spirits. I need to play like a construct in the extra deck just to bridge like tragedy and this. But I didn't feel it was worth it the space, and I kind of want all of my cards in the extra deck. That's why this is like a one-off for me personally. And yeah, so like yeah, one Mercurier. You can bridge this with high spirits. However, I wanted to like you can bridge this with high spirits thanks to like the Ring Broom. The problem is like you don't get as much value from high spirits with Mercurier as if you get with like the Albion or like the Titan Clad sent by high spirits. So that's why this is a one-off. Some people play it as a two-off maybe because I think the theory is like if they banish it with Sarko, they kind of miss the second one, which I think is incorrect. I think the Dyne board is still fine. This is like just a bonus you can have. But yeah, I think it's a one-off. Like it's a brick. And if you don't play Allure, I don't think you should play like more than one of these. They're just bricks if you don't like all play Allure. And yeah, so here we have the Branded Laws. This is like standard one-off. And yeah, this is like a standard one-off you need to play. There's no like need explanation for this. But this card is crucial for most of my combos, which in part two of this video, I will release like combos. Like you will see this card is like pretty important for my combos to like to set a puppet. So yeah, consider subscribing for part two. Yeah, let's move on. So we go double branded in red. So like this may not be standard for everyone, but I this card is obviously good for the grind game. And like with double shrouded dragon, it's just with triple shrouded dragon. I think it's easier to like set it up. Like unlike the other decks, also with like high spirits, it's just easier to set up branded in red as like dodging imperm veilers and so on. Like it can also be a one-off. I just missed the second one a lot. Like there is some like nice combos you can do with it. They don't come up a lot. They just normally if I open branded in red, like you can trigger Quem in end phase with Hardrom branded in red, and then Albion said the other one, which came up for me. But most of the reason is just I play triple shrouded dragon, and this card just yeah, it's just good to like play too. I just wanted to play 50 cards, and I think this is like the 50th spot always. Yeah, the 50th spot also can be like a foolish burial or like ad libitum. I don't play ad libitum here. I'll explain like in the cards that didn't make the cut later in this video why. But yeah, I think this card was like the 50th spot. And then we have triple tactic trust. No explanation for this, no needed. Like this card is just bonkers. Like it works to set up this going first. It works as board breaker going second. It can also search your engine. Yeah, just broken card in general. And then triple branded fusion. Yeah, this is like also standard. Yeah, this is like standard. No need explanation for this as well. Yeah, these 9 cards are like standard for every list. So I don't think they need explanations like triple deployment, triple opening. They're just standard, good cards. Everyone plays them. And then the spice, why this deck is like why spicy, other rather than the others, is triple high spirits. So I think this card, like at the beginning, I will explain like at the beginning of the format. I thought like Snake I just consistently opens 2 hand traps, and if I don't open or like sometimes even treats, it wasn't an impossible task for them just because they go maybe to like 18 to close to 20 hand traps both sides, so it wasn't impossible to even open 3. So what this card does is, like I will just start by reading it, is this review 1 monster in your hand and send 1 level 8 monster from the extra deck to the graveyard with the same type that has, yeah. So yeah, and then discard the revealed monster, add 1 Fallen of Albas, or 1 monster that mentions it. And this is like the additional effect that you can add it to hand if fusion monster was sent to the grave this turn. But the important part is like this card is like second branded fusion if you open it with like the Shrouded Dragon Albas, and like it's a bit worse if you open with Saronir, but it's still okay. Like you can still do shenanigans with this card, but this card is like second branded fusion. Just your opponent needs like 2 hand traps to stop this card. Like nobody will ash this card. Like I know only a handful of good players who will ash this card because they know branded well. But yeah, I think like this card needs to be ashed. Like I think if it's your only hand trap, maybe you'd need to ash this card just because this card gets you a lot. You'll see like in the combo tutorial like why this card is like second branded fusion for me. Like you'll see like normally prioritize adding this card over branded fusion if I have like one of these, one of the dragons, because nobody will ash this card and I still get to branded fusion anyway because yeah, because like you send Albas, you pitch like one of these, you search Spring and Skid, and like Spring and Skid gets you to Branded Fusion anyway. So like sure, you might still get Ashed on Branded Fusion, but you still did an important job, which is like setting up like Titan Quad or Albion, whichever you think for the hand is better to graveyard. So like you already did your job, and like you already set up an interruptions through Ash anyway, which is like why this card is important. But it also works against other hand traps as well. Like it's bad going second, but my theory on branded is just I think the deck was like good enough at breaking boards going second. I was like struggling going first because like 2 hand traps like usually will beat you in most of the hands, which in hand trap format like 18 hand traps it's not even hard to open two. Like you just need to open like consistently like the deployment of Araluber, which was just very hard. And I just thought like this card was a very good solution. And yeah, that's why I play triple high spirits. Like I was playing it at a 1-off at the start, but then I was like, why don't I build the deck around it? Because the card was just so broken. Like the only reason you should play one is if you're scared of opening it going second. You can also cut it down to 2, that's fine. But I feel like I just want to open the card. Like even if I draw it going second, like the engine itself is just so good at breaking boards, like it mostly won't even matter. So yeah, I think that it's a 2-off at the very least. But you need to build your branded deck like very specifically for it. So yeah, and then triple talents. Like some people play one just for the trust, but this one is just. So here is why I play triple talents. Is why because people will just hand trap me a lot, and I usually use the talents most of the time to draw because I have a lot of cards I can draw because I play triple high spirit. It's mostly due to that. Like obviously the other cards are good too. Like I can draw trust, I can draw duplication if I get hand trapped. Like I can draw Cartesia maybe, but yeah, I just have a lot more cards to draw from talents to extend, unlike the other decks. But also this card is like very good board breaker against the Pulusa. Sometimes you kind of struggle with Apollousa and other negate boards. So yeah, I think this card is just in generally good to play at the 3. You can also cut it down to 2 to play 5, but I just kind of liked to open like talents. It was just good card in general. And yeah, this is like the one-offs you need to play. Duplication for trust. Like this card and another spellcaster is just a puppet lock. Like it's that easy to puppet lock. And then retribution is just yeah, to get back your resources. Everyone plays it right now. You can send it from Shrouded Dragon. Lubellion, obviously, you need for like the branded lost combos with Albion. And yeah, that's like standard. There's no much deep explanation for these. These are like standard called by the grave, yeah, negate Ash, negate Shifter, and then like one gold Sarcophagus. So many people just play like Foolish Burial and Gold Sarcophagus, or even Foolish, or just Foolish with no Sarco. But I think this card is better than Foolish because Foolish can get me to Tragedy and add me Aluber, but Gold Star can do the same. But also I can search like my Cartesian engine, I can search my Albas engine, and like yeah, I can just search more cards with Foolish than more cards with Gold Star than with Foolish. So that's why I just decided to play this over Foolish Burial. So now moving on to the side deck, we play triple Druid Swarm. Like this, I just wanted like as many bestials as possible. These cards are just in generally good. Obviously, like with high spirits as well. But I felt like I needed like more cards for mirror match, and I could only rely on bestials. Like Ash wasn't like always the issue because like Cartesian and Quem just are good cards, and they can probably just easy puppet lock me even if I Ash with most hands. So like bestials are just the only reliable thing for me if I don't play like 18 head traps deck to stop the mirror match. Also, they are good against pure snake, like I explained earlier in the video. And yeah, there's like no need explanation. So yeah, okay, yeah, one Harpy's Feather Duster, just a good trust target, and like it's always in my side deck if I play trust. It's just good to have. Then triple Cosmic. So this one was like for Runic Stun at the beginning of the beginning because you kind of struggle with Runic Stun because they open like multiple floodgates, and you cannot play like Lightning Storm, for example, against this deck because Hugin just protects all the floodgates. And yeah, I think like this is just the better choice. I think Lightning Storm overall is just the better choice if Runic Stun wasn't in the meta because this is high impact and Cosmic is a low impact. And I think low impact cards in Branded are not good. But at this point, if you have like one bad matchup, you can commit spot inside for it. Like there's literally nothing else that's kind of good against Runic Stun. I feel like you can side, but yeah, I think like Cosmic is fine. And then triple Dark Ruler. So yeah, this is just FTK against the synchro board of Snake Eye. And it's also really good against voiceless. Like they sometimes summon Jaugen and you need more than droplet for an out. That's why I play this card. And then I right now the spice everyone wanted, it was like the 5 patchwork cards in the side deck. So the thing is, I think like it's just in generally good board breaker. I didn't feel like anything else was like good to side in as board breaker. Some people say side evenly, but I feel like evenly matched just isn't as good for me. It's good against some matchups, but I feel like you just lose your battle phase sometimes. Like against Snake Eye, they just end on Baron and Savage. You just go evenly and you wasted your battle phase, which for this deck kind of sucks because you need to like push a lot of damage or like push through their negates, attack them because the Despia monsters are just huge. So I feel like I prefer this because I just stay in my main phase and then I go to my battle phase whenever I want over evenly matched. And yeah, yeah, this is for the side deck. So mm, let's go to the extra deck like Sanctifier. Yeah, just for the puppet lock, that's standard. Double Albion, that's so like these 5, 6 cards, sorry, are like standard. What's not standard is like the double Gringano. I think a lot of people just start playing it, but a lot of people are still on one. You will see like in my combos, I will release it like the day after this video. I just need to edit it with some combo hands. Just comes up a lot to it comes up a lot to just make double Granguno. In my combos, I make one Granguno on my turn and then the second on my opponent's turn. So yeah, I think that's why I wanna play too. But even if Puppet like isn't played anymore after the ban list, I feel like we can just yeah we still play double Granguno, but like it just opens up a lot of lines. Like you'll see them. So yeah, like one Guardian Chimera. Yeah, this is like standard. You just need to play like one removal because Branded in red makes it easy. And sometimes you don't have access to anything else but 3 monsters with different names, which aren't Albas. And so you need Guardian Chimera. It's also good against stun. It's good against yeah, it's good against stun and for one release. Then one Rinbroom. You don't make this card that much. It's just there to be sent by Mirror Jade. And then I can just use Rinbroom to revive Albas and make another fusion. That's why this card is there. And then one Borreload. I think this card is like very good. Some people play Magnum, but I feel like Borreload is just more easy to make for me because I normally make Borreload with Albion the Branded Dragon, and like with Albion, I just needed like something good to summon from Albion that's not Mirror Jade, which this card was like fitting the criteria. It's good obviously against Voiceless. Like most of the time I make against this Voiceless with Albion. I make Albion, I make Borreload, like I banish two dragons. Like it's easy to have two dark dragons in grave because this card says it can only be summoned with two dark dragons. You have a lot of them. You have 3, 6, 7, 10, and then the Titan Clat and Albion, which are but most of the time you make it with like Titan Clat and Albion. So this card was just easier to make for me. And like yeah, it's just easier to make for me and like more flexible to use. Also, I'm not gonna lie, if I have the opportunity, most of the times when I open like Shrouded Dragon and I get shifted, I just wanna discard the Shrouded Dragon with Lubellion and make Borrelo just because this is a low impact interruption. I feel like this is just easily broken. It's not good, but you need to play it, of course, for shifter decks. Like I think I would rather make Borrelo if possible. If I open like Albas, Saronir or something in hand, because how I do this combo is just always go Lubellion if I get shifted, send either Tragedy or Mercurier, and then I go Chainlink one Lubellion. If I discard a Dark Dragon, I just make Borreload because I shuffle back either one of the Dark Dragons that I discarded and Albas. But yeah, but yeah, just this card for me is just better for Magnum in those cases. Like it's you can also make it against Voiceless like pretty easily because of Albion and into this. And it's really good because you pop their field barrier or like their spell and trap zones and they just lose a lot of momentum for this. And yeah, I think like this is a very good card you need to play. But also there's like another how do I call it? Another way you can play this card is just you go Albas, you fuse away the puppet after you puppet lock. Let's say your opponent like sets a lot of cards. You go Albas, fuse away the puppet, make Lubellion. You Lubellion, discard one card, make Borrelot, and start popping their back rows. If you used Branded in red to make a Sanctifier. This is good because maybe people will catch on later and just side the super ancient organism trap against you, going second after you puppet lock them if puppet survives. And yeah, I think it's just a good out you can make. Yeah, if they decide this going second against you and use the Branded in red for puppet, you can just, that's what I said, you just make a Borrelot and just start popping his back rows. In your turn, when he uses this card, you just pop it with Borrelot. Otherwise, this card is just out to win. But yeah, it's not even that popular in the format yet. I think there's just stun plays it. It's just like a good scenario, you know? So yeah. And then yeah, the Preda Plant, I think this card is like literally the lowest card in my extra deck, but you need to play it because you play against shifter decks and you need to make something from Branded Fusion that works always. But as I said, if I open Dragons, I would always make Borreload over Predaplant. But you just need to play this card. Like otherwise, I think this is the only flex spot you can make. But if you don't expect many shifter decks of the format, you can just cut this card. This is okay too. And then one Masquerade. So yeah, this card obviously it's good for time. I think a lot of people just have misconception how to use Masquerade. A lot of people think it's only good for time, but it's not because Despia can easily deal damage and sometimes not kills. Like it's sometimes you don't like kill your opponent, but you can make Masquerade very easily right now just because Quem is also a Despia monster, and you can make like if he's on like low life points, you can just go Branded in red, like use another monster and Quem, for example, or like Cartesia and use Cartesia, fuse Quem itself for Masquerade. And a lot of the decks right now need a lot of plays. Like they need to activate a lot of effects like Snake Eyes just to start playing. So yeah, you can just make this guy instead of Puppet if you want, and they cannot play. If they're like low on life points, they need a lot of effects to start. And this Masquerade and another interruption is just a game. So think this card is just mandatory always to play. And then one Queretis. So I needed something like this guy is just mainly to summon from the Gringonal second effect. Because if you play either this guy, there's like two choices between Quartis and Proskinion. But I think like Proskinion is very good, obviously, but like it's harder for me to make. And I think this card is only good against Snake Eye and Mirror Match. like Snake Eye, you can summon their SP and Baron back, and then just use them as interruption against your opponent. But a lot of more decks enter the meta, and this guy just, if you have him, it's sometimes just easy to kill, and it's also easier to make. And yeah, I think that's why I prefer. You can also play Proskinion if you wanna. I just prefer like Cortis. So yeah, and then the last card in the extra deck is like one Titan Clad. So Titanic Clad, like it's I think you need to play at least one monster that sends that special summons Albas in end phase. Like obviously you can special summon Quem because it's treated as Dogmatica monster, but I feel like you need to play at least one monster in the extra deck in Branded to special summon Albas from deck because it helps you like board break easy with Mirror Jade, for example. Yeah, if you start playing the game like with Branded, like you just need like one monster like that because normally you always have a card to discard because Cartesia will be in grave and you can return it to hand and then trigger Titanic Watt, discard it, and use Albas, and yeah, if you can make a fusion monster. So yeah, that's about it for the deck profile. If you have any questions, let me know down below in the comments. I'll release part two of this with combos and siding patterns for the deck. And yeah, if you have any questions, let me know down below. Subscribe if you haven't. And yeah, have a good one. See ya. Magician and the Dragoon package. I think this is good. But with Sky Crisis Typhon in the format, I feel like the card is just not good enough anymore. So yeah, I think like I don't really think you want to make this with like Typhon played in basically every deck right now except Branded. I don't think you want to make this guy, and even against Branded, it's like not good. Then Phantasme. So yeah, I played this card against Snake Eye, but in the final list, I realized Dark Row is just much better. Sure, this guy fixes hands, but he's only good against pure Snake Eye. So I wanted to play more cards that are also good against other decks. Dark Row is good also against like the Voiceless Voice. You wanna negate their Jow again if they end on like it. Like you can only have Droplet to stop the Jow again, or like you need double Bistio against Voiceless Voice because of Skull Guardian to stop it. But Dark Row alone cannot be negated unless they play Judgment. So I just decided to like move this card for Dark Ruler. And then like Super Poly, a lot of people have been on and off about this card. My opinion on this is just it's not good, particularly this format, because there's like the extra deck targets. I feel like that are good against fire. Like these ones are good against fire. However, you just waste two cards from your hand just to summon like a vanilla monster on board. And then they still have other interruptions like Princess, like hand traps. So I feel like you don't wanna waste like also one extra deck spots for like a three off if you play like 50 or 60 cards. Maybe if you play 40, 41, sure, but I feel like it's not worth it for me. I felt like I don't wanna like waste additional spot because as I said, like I literally have like one flex spot, which was Predaplant Dracos Tapelia in my list. And yeah, that's why I didn't that's why I cut this card like for this format specifically. And then Adlib. So a lot of people like everyone, I'm pretty sure I'm on Puppet, and maybe some play this card. For me, I personally don't like it because I think Quem just essentially does the same job as Adlib. It's like nice to like have multiple mirror jets, like you get triple mirror jet with Branded in red, but I don't think you need that. It's good to have like against Fuwanderis because you can get your banished resources or against Runic Stun in grind game. But yeah, I don't think this card is like a necessity when Puppet is around. You always want to go for Puppet in the end board. And then yeah, the full patchwork engine. Full patchwork engine is like you need to build your deck like differently. I was playing that in one of my starting lists, but I feel like you don't need this card anymore. Like it's good, but you need to build your deck specifically. You need to play like multiple tragedy and then multiple allure and then desires, and then it becomes like a 60 card decks. Like maybe you cannot even play desires, but allure is probably just absolutely necessary. So yeah, it's cool card for sure, but I just don't. I just have to build my deck differently for it. It's definitely a good option right now because a lot of people drop to draw and then branded in white. So this card is like very good. You can make like some fusions, but for me it just doesn't come up. Specifically, it's good to have sometimes, but it doesn't come up for like some combos. And yeah, like it doesn't even come up. You would rather add like branded in red most of the time. Like 90% of the time, branded in red is just better in this card because you can just add albas and fuse away with it. Like there is some scenarios it's better than branded in red, but yeah, I feel like turn one, you can like, if your Branded Fusion gets stopped and you have like Granguno and Albas, you can make Mirror Jade with it. But at this point, if I would if I want to search something, it would rather be branded in High Spirits, just because it gets me like much more advantage than just one branded in white. And yeah, so multiple branded lost. I think this card is like definitely really good if you play it at multiple. If you also play the Patchwork Engine, because this card is just insane. Like obviously against decks that make IP, they can banish it, so you don't side this card in against fire, like the fire decks. You just side it against like Kashtira, against stun. So like your Chimera always resolves. So like against Kashtira, against Kashtira they cannot use Birth on after you branded fusion. So if they don't open Ash, basically this card is FTK. Like the Ash on branded fusion is the only out. Otherwise, their whole board is getting broken against like a skull against a voiceless. It's pretty good. Like they need to like either negate it or pop it with the trap. If they pop it with the trap, they lose the trap forever and then grind game just because infinitely lures if you get to it. But yeah, this card is like definitely possibility at even a 2 or a 3 off. So that's why I put it in here. I was playing it at some point, but I just decided like other cards are worth the spot. And then yeah, a lot of darkness and desires. I played the high spirit list, so I feel like this card conflicted with the high spirit version. I think you always want to like activate high spirits. Like Allure is good, but you, as I said, you need to play multiple tragedy for it. And yeah, that's why this card like didn't make it to the final version. I was playing it at some point, but I had confliction where I open high spirits and Allure, and you just want to use only one of them. It's good card going second to draw your non-engine, but I felt like my deck was already good not going second anyway because yeah, it's branded. You can break boards with engine only easily. And yeah, that's why this card didn't make it to the final list, but it's definitely a good option to play. And then yeah, Pot of Desires. This card is good as well. And I think this card is like these cards are both good, but this one like it's always +1. Like sometimes you won't draw darks with this, so it will suck a bit. This card is always +1. However, like it also banishes your resources, which if you get into a grind game, it sucks. Like sometimes Despia needs a grind game. If you break board and like your opponent also has grind game as well. So yeah, but if you play 60 cards, I think this card is just mandatory. But if you play less than that, I don't suggest playing it. And then yeah, this is like some board breakers I was playing. Herald for like purely. It's good. Also against like Raid Raptor to remove like one tower because they make like the 54 tower and then Titanic Lad can run over like the two smaller tower monsters. And yeah, like it can run over the two smaller towers, but the last one you cannot out with engine, so you just need like some removal. But it's mostly like if you respect like purely, and yeah, and then evenly matched. Like it's good, but I don't. This card is like insane, of course, but you don't in branded you don't want to waste your battle phase, so that's why I cut this card. It's definitely a good option, but I feel like most of the time I don't want to waste my battle phase with branded. I just want to have it. And then like for the final options, like the Guna explained. So yeah, this one, the Earth Golem Adignister, this card can fuse away like the Appaloosa and the IP end boards. So your opponent goes Limber, summon IP, and then you can like fuse away the Appaloosa and the IP into this card. So yeah, this is like a good option if you want to play Super Pole against Fire. And then Panzer Dragon, this card can fuse away the Formula Synchron and the Savage, or like the Flame Birch and the Formula if you wanna. Like basically like the first part is only this first part is only like for two cards, for Formula Synchron and then for Umbro Whale. And then yeah, this is for Umbro Whale. Like the first part it only works on those two, and then the second part is just the Flame Birch because he's a dragon and the Savage Dragon. So yeah, you can also consider playing this card because it says if you crash this card, you can pop another card. So yeah, you can break their whole board with it. You can also like pop summon limit with it. You can like crash into one body, which they'll leave like face up in attack, and then you can crash it, pop like let's say summon limit set or like anti spell if they have it. But sometimes it doesn't work as well because they have Link Kuribo in the grave, so they can just they can just tribute their like one body with higher attack, like level 1, and then they can just leave it be. So yeah, like it doesn't always work. Sometimes it works to pop like summon limit or anti spell this card. If you want to play Super Pole targets, I suggest these two. But yeah, if you play Super Pole, I suggest these two against fire. Then yeah, Mud Dragon and Garura everyone knows. So Proskinion was one thing I tested. It's good, but Quartis just comes up for more matchups, and sometimes in turn 3, you just need like easy way to OTK. Like your opponent summons a lot of bodies sometimes in attack, and Quartis is like really good to just OTK for that. Like Branded cannot OTK through like many bodies. So I put Quartis for that, and this card is like insanely good against pure Snake Eye. You can revive their SP and Baron after you break their board and use them against your opponent's follow-up. And then yeah, against Mirror Match, you can just take away like the Mirror Jade or like the Sanctifier. If you stop the Puppet Lock, you can like take your opponent's Sanctifier, and then Puppet Lock him with his own Puppet, which is like a good interaction. But and you can also banish like the Albions and the Titanic ones from the graveyard, so like you can banish his follow-up. But yeah, like I feel like Quartz just have like more coverage and it's easier to summon. This card I only ever summoned from Grangano. You can probably summon it from Cartesia as well. You can summon it for Cartesia, but it requires 3 monsters, so it's really hard to summon. That's why I decided to cut down this card. And for the final card, Magnum the Reliever. Yeah, like if you play the poly package, I feel like you play this card over Borreload. I was like on this, but I feel like Borreload just have more coverage, so that's why I play this card instead. So I play Borreload instead, and yeah, this is good to have if you play poly. But yeah, for me, Borreload is just better in the end of the day. And like you can make it under rivalry, which like some decks like for one the reason Kashtira plays. So yeah, Borreload is also good out for that. Like it's not impossible to see a rivalry as because they sack it. Like they play Pot of Prosperity as well, so like they have a really high chance to see rivalry. And Borreload is like definitely good out to that just because Albion is Dragon. And yeah, like Branded Fusion into Borreload just sounds it. Like yeah, that's like another reason to play Borreload over it. But Magnum is definitely a good option as well. It can also it can also like retrieve your fusion spells. Like you can banish deployment for it because it says one fusion spell. You can banish poly, you can banish branded fusion. So you have like infinite pops with this. Basically, if you get your graveyard field, whereas Borrelot it needs to pop monsters, which is not even that hard because opening can also protect the fusion monster. So if I borrow target itself, I can banish opening from grave and protect it. So yeah, both have their cons, ups and downs. In the end of the day, you choose what to play. Like none is better than the other. For me, it's just personally, it's just Borreload. And yeah, that's it for this video. Stay tuned for part 2. It's coming tomorrow after this video for the combo tutorial, like advanced and basic combos. So yeah, see ya.